A very good evening to one and all. Today we are going to start with the session 5 of Sutrasthan, first chapter Ayush Kamiya Adhyay. And for this session, I would like to welcome Prasad sir. Namaste sir.
Namaste, namaste, namaste. So can we start?
Yes sir, yes sir.
Okay. Vaidya namostu tasmai. So namaskaram to one and all of you. So today, first of all, I will start sharing the text. Just a minute. Screen is visible?
Yes sir.
Okay. So today we have to start from this Vayu Pittam Kabhascheri Trayo Doshaha Samasataha. So see the slogam properly. Vayu Pittam Kabhascheri Trayo Doshaha Samasataha. Vayu Pittam Kabhaha Cha iti Doshaha Samasataha Trayah. Vayu Pittam Kabhaha Cha iti Doshaha Samasataha Trayah. We will find the words Vayu. There is one word Vayu. Pittam Kabhaha Cha iti Doshaha Samasataha Trayah. That is Anvayam. Samasataha. Samasataha means in brief or in short. In brief. So here we are making a statement. In brief, Trayaha Doshaha. Trayaha. Three in number. What? Doshaha. We will go to the details. Doshaha. Samasataha Trayaha Doshaha. In brief or in short, there are three doshas. Trayaha Doshaha. Now there is a question, which are they? So the answer is also there. Vayuhu Pittam Kabhaha Cha iti. Vayuhu Pittam Kabhaha Cha iti. The three doshas are Vayuhu Pittam Kabhaha Cha. Cha is the we have seen it, Cha, earlier. That is that binding word, together. And it has got some special meaning as well that we will come to later. Now we will find the basic idea. Trayaha Doshaha. Vayuhu Pittam Kabhaha Cha iti Trayaha Doshaha. So we have to understand what is the this is the shloka where Vagbhada enters to the technical language. Up to this we were seeing about something else, like what is the importance of this text, how it was authored, all these things, which are the branches into which it is divided. Now from here onwards we are going into the technical part of the Grantha or Shastra. So here we find one important technical term, Swasapna, Doshaha. The term dosha is a very important, one of the most important technical term in Ayurveda. And that word dosha, it has got its origin from the root dush, which means to make something bad. Dushyate. Dush vaikrite. That is the meaning of that root. So its origin, the origin of the word is from dush vaikrite. That means to make something bad. Also, it has got another shade of meaning, something which can make something bad. Something which can make things bad. And another thing is that itself can become bad when pushed by suitable elements, causes. This principle itself can become bad, morbid. So two meanings. That principle itself can become bad, and when bad, it can make others also bad. These two meanings primarily incorporated with the word dosha. Now we have to understand, what does it mean? Why should we go to all these details like making something bad or morbid, and the potential of a principle to become bad or worse or morbid when influenced by other causes? What are we trying to say? What is the meaning? What is the idea behind this concept of dosha? That we have to explore. So from a very beginner's understanding, because it is always a problem, why we should explain all these things in terms of principles like dosha. What is the originality of the concept? Then we have to go to the idea of dosha. That is what I would like to say, the very idea called dosha. As per the Ayurvedic understanding, we are learning Ayurveda. So we should have an idea about what is Ayurveda's perspective about the world, about life, about living body, then about health, about disease, about treatment. So the Ayurvedic perspective about all these things are to be primarily understood. To go to that part, first of all, we will see what is the Ayurvedic understanding about a living body, Shariram. Ayurveda identifies three types of components in a living body. Three types of components forming the living body. By name, dosha, dhatu, and mala. In another chapter, the opening statement, opening verse itself is dosha, dhatu, mala, moolam, sada, dehasya. So these three types of components are there in a living body. The other two we will discuss later, dhatu and mala. We are coming to it. Here at this point of time, we will see something about dosha. See, any living being has to pass through different stages. Any living object, any living being has to pass through different stages. Like number one, to come to existence, asti, maybe in the mother's womb. Then jayate, birth. Then vardhate. Vardhate means to grow. Then viparinamate. That means to change, to transform, to evolve. Then apakshiyate means to degenerate, to decay, to decline. Then vinashyati, perish, die. Every living being. Asti, jayate, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, vinashyati. Nobody is exempted from this. And when we look at these 6 bhavas or bhava vikaras, actually it is a Vedantic concept, very important. These bhava vikaras, when we bring this to Ayurveda, there are innumerable activities going on within the body, which all together play behind these 6 stages. Within the body, from the time of the asti coming to existence till jayate, till birth, innumerable activities going on within. Then vardhate, growing. Viparinamate, through the stage of survival, many things are transformed, changed. Many things are evolved. Then, once that has attained its level of saturation, from that point onwards, after reaching the peak of evolution in one's own life, slowly we start the climb down, decline. There are innumerable activities going on to facilitate this change. Then slowly it reaches the end, vinashyati, perish. So if we have to study the body, the living body as a whole, in total, we should have the understanding of these innumerable activities taking place in the living body. But it is not that easy. You take just a matter of one day, the types of activities which are gross. You are moving from this place to that place. You are eating, you are lying down, you are bathing, you are wearing a mask, or you are combing your hair, many things which are very gross. Anybody can see this. Meantime, within, again, certain types of activities which can be included somewhere in between. You are chewing, you are swallowing, you are burping, you are breathing. Then further down, many things are happening as part of the digestion. breaking down, assimilation, transformation. Then still down, you're thinking, you're dreaming, you're imagining, you're planning, you're executing. So many innumerable things are happening in a day, maybe in an hour. So what about this asti to vinashyadi big spectrum? But we have to learn in order to understand what is a living body, what is happening within, to understand what we call as health, to understand what we call as illness, we obviously has to understand what is happening within. So it is not that easy. So how will we do? What we will do is, whatever is known to us to the best, the numerable maximum, we will try to organize them. We try to classify them, tabulate them, and in some way we are organizing all the known activities of the human body. And it can be categorized in many headings, under many headings. No issue. But higher the number of categories you make, tougher will be the task of understanding each one of them and finding an organizational network within, between these categories. So we have to try to make the categorization as simple as possible to the least minimum required in number. And if we go ahead with that task, we can find that we require at least three categories with specific headings under which everything can be accommodated. If you want to make it elaborate, you can make it 10, you can make it 50, you can find 100 categories and start organizing beneath each heading. Then, in order to understand, you will have to go through this 10, 50 or 100. So bringing it to the minimum, the least minimum, beyond which we cannot reduce it further, it will be 3. It will be 3. That means if you start organizing the control switches in a factory with specific functional classification, here we require 3 different boxes where these switches can be categorized. Minimum 3 boxes or minimum 3 rooms into which all the control switches of this particular plant, of this factory, can be organized systematically. Instead, if see on the other side, contrarily, you can make 1 room for each switch and make a 100-room control room with 1 room having 1 switch. But when you organize, you make it 3 rooms where all the control switches will be properly arranged, properly organized. Then you can name each room as room A, which will be containing the control switches of a particular set of activities which has many things in common. Room B, which will have another set of controls which will have something in common between them, and room number C, which will contain another set of switches which work with another set of activities. In the same way, the acharyas who studied the body from that asti to vinashyadi cycle found that the human body has got innumerable number of activities going grossly in the very macro level to the very micro level, which can be organized under 3 categories, and they put the nameplate for each category, and that is what we call as 3 doshas. So each dosha will accommodate a set of activities under that heading, which will have something in common between them. So this is a technique. This is a technique of making the things into a minuscule to the minimum and understanding that minimum. The different, but the change that we have to understand is this is nothing like taking a piece from the total, which is called other ways as a reductionistic method, which has got many advantages. I'm not going to blame it. This is not a reductionistic approach of taking one piece of the cake and testing it and making sure that every piece of cake will be like that and the whole cake will be like this. Here it is, we are reducing it in a different style by organizing it to the minimum, organizing it into the minimum, and ultimately finding the common factors and understanding them, so that by understanding these 3 categories, you will be able to understand the whole. So understanding the 3 is also whole, understanding the total is also whole. It is not a piece, but it is the whole, always. That is the uniqueness of this concept of dosha. So in short, dosha is a technical term used in Ayurveda to denote different categories of activities which are found basically 3 in number, and each of these 3 categories accommodates all known activities happening in a living body. So it is a magic key. It is a magic key. That is the importance. And now when we go back to the sloka, Vayu Pittam Kabhaschedi Trayo Doshaha. There are 3 doshas samasataha. You can make it larger to any size. But samasataha means briefly, as brief as possible. In short, if you want to make it vast, you have the freedom. But here the technique is to make it to the minimum and understand it properly. And that 3 categories are Vayuhu, Pittam, Kabhaha cha. Vayuhu, Pittam, Kabhaha cha. Iti samasataha trayaha doshaha. That cha is also an emphasizing element. Emphasizing element means you cannot bring this further down to 2. We need a minimum of 3. You cannot deliver this duty of enumerating the entire activity under 2 categories, which you will be convinced in the coming sessions. Also, we need not require a 4th one. Also, we need not require a fourth one to accommodate all the activities properly. So that is the idea of dosha. And we have three doshas: Vayuhu, Pittam, Kabhaha cha iti. Now we have to find many other shades of meaning. It is important of this dosha. There are many roots in Sanskrit to generate this word dosha. For example, there is a word in Sanskrit called doho, from which we can make the word dosha. Doho. Doho has got its origin from dos. Dos means hand. Hands. Hands are significant because they represent something which can cause, generate the potential to make actions. Hands are a representation of that potential to make things work. So from that dos, you can make the word dosha when it will reflect the meaning that dosha makes the body work. Makes the body work. That also reflects properly. That is what we were discussing, because it is an attempt to enumerate and organize all the non-functions, actions. So dosha, the word itself, is reflecting that it is something which makes something work. Then in another context, in another text called Nyaya Manjari, which is a text related to the Nyaya Darshanam, there is a definition for the word called dosha. Of course, it is in a different context, but very important and relevant in our context as well. That definition is pravartana lakshana doshaha. Pravartana lakshana. That means doshas are having the sign, mark, identity, lakshana. That the lakshana of dosha is pravartanam, action. So that way, doshas can be identified as those principles which make the body active in its complete sense, very gross, very macro, and very subtle, very micro, everything. That is the very concept of Ayurveda, that doshas make this body active, functional, working. So that way also, this word dosha is significant. Now we find certain terms. Vayu. Three doshas are named: Vayu, Pittam, Kabhaha. They also reflect the nature of the activities that they deliver. We need not make any comparison of Vayu, Pittam and Kabham with any other technical term explained in any other branch of knowledge. This is so unique to Ayurveda. So we should go to the etymology, how this word is generated. So Vayu comes from the root Va. Vadi iti Vayuhu. Vadi means something which moves. Va, that root gives you the idea that something which moves. Gadi gandhanayoho. Two meanings. Gati, movement. Gandhanam. Gandhanam. So gati shows the property of movement. Gandhanam shows the or the reflects or accommodates the senses of utsaham. Utsaha. That enthusiasm. The potential. Then prakashanam. Prakashanam. Sujanam. This is also a meaning of this gandhanam. Sujanam, indicative. Prakashanam, something which reveals. Himsa, that is also an important meaning of gandhanam. Himsa, that means something which annihilates. So, va, the root va has got one set of meaning under gati, all which is moving. Moving and make moving. Another set is gandhanam, ulsaham, prakashanam, sujanam, himsa. So it is from that va dhatu, vayu, the word vayu is originated. So in short, if you go to a factory and find a room in the control section where there is a label called vayu, you should understand that if you enter into that room, you are going to see all the mechanism in that company, in that factory, which are associated with movements of things, which are indicative of many changes, which are revealing of the presence of many things, which shows the potential of the factory to perform in that room. So if that factory is the human body, the dosha vayu accommodates all those activities related to these prescribed activities, actions, or performances. So if you can understand what vayu is, you are going to understand everything related to this big set of activities. So first of all, you can set a normal for the vayu. Draw an x-axis and understand it, familiarize it thoroughly. Then you can easily understand any situation where vayu has moved from that baseline, that x-axis, either upward or downward through the y-axis. So very simple. Similarly, when you come to pittam, pittam originates from the root called tapa. Tapa sandape. Tapa sandape. Tapa word, that root has the meanings like santapam, warmth, temperature, ushma, heat. So every action related with the presence of heat is accommodated in that room. A couple of more meanings for this tapa dhadu, like Aishwaryam. So everything related with that meaning also will be accommodated in that room where you find the label Pittam. Similarly, when you go to Kabha, Kena Jalena Bhalati Idi Kabha. Come. It comes from the word come. Come means water, jalam. Kena bhalati, something which originates from water. That is the word meaning of kabham. So all the functions which can be delivered in the presence of the watery components, like binding things together, making things wet, making things grow, all these things can be seen accommodated under the heading kabham or kabha. And interestingly, if we observe all the physiological activities that is happening in the human body, we can find that there are innumerable number of activities, but which can be precisely brought under three headings. Number one, which is constructive. Number one. Number two, which is transformative, causing the lysis, destruction, breaking down. Actually, human body is such a machine where something is always constructed, synthesized, and meantime, parallel to it, it is broken down, dissolved, dismantled, transformed, changed to another form. So these two things are happening all the time from birth to death. But we cannot expect a system to survive, sustain, if there is no proper control between this constructive element and the destructive element. So grossly, body can be divided, can be identified as a platform where continuously construction and destruction is happening, and there is an intermediary principle which is regulating as if an umpire, as a referee between two playing teams. So through only three things, only three types of activities are happening in the body, nothing else. So if you want to classify them, you can classify into three, and these three terms, Vayu, Pittam, and Kapha, they properly, meaningfully reflect these three sets of activities. Kabha, which means something which binds together, something which is originating from the water, which has got the capacity to makes things closer, is the accumulative principle, the constructive principle. Whereas heat, temperature, warmth, transformation, pitta, that disintegrates things, dismantles things, transforms things, changes the form. And Vayu is that principle which plays in between to regulate the activities of Kabham and Pitta. Kabha and Pitta. So it is such a beautiful thing that highly complex system is beautifully brought into a very short formula of three doshas, wherein you are going to understand this complex system in a very, very simplified manner. So this single line, Vayu Pittam Kabhaschedi trayo doshaha samasataha. That accommodates all these vast ideas of, number one, it is samasataha. Number two, this is about dosha and what dosha means. And the three technical terms, vayu, pittam, kabhaha. And the importance of cha, that means two is not sufficient and you does not need a fourth one. You do not need a fourth one. So all these ideas are very beautifully included in this one line sloka, vayu, pittam, kabhaschedi, trayo doshaha samasataha. Now we will find the next part, next half of the sloka here. Vikrita avikritaha deham ghnandi te vartayandi cha. Vikrita avikritaha deham ghnandi te vartayandi cha. Read it once again. We will read it. Vikrita avikritaha deham ghnandi te vartayandi cha. When we split the words, vikrita avikritaha deham ghnandi te vartayandi cha. You need not go for any complex splitting there. It is in that form only. Anvayam is also vikrita vikritaha te deham ghnandi vartayandi cha. Vikrita vikritaha te deham ghnandi vartayandi cha. Now we will find the meaning. Te. Te means they or these. These three doshas about which we were explaining all those things. Vikrita avikritaha. Vikrita avikritaha means vikritaha avikritaha cha. Vikritaha avikritaha cha. Vikrita. Vikrita means gone out of track, departed from normalcy, became bad, as the word we used in the beginning. That is vikrita. Avikrita, opposite of vikrita, means running on track in their normalcy. So two possibilities are discussed. These three doshas, vikritaha, avikritaha cha, deham. Deham means shariram. Of course, there are different meanings for this each word. Shariram. Ghnandi vartayandi cha. Ghnandi. Ghnandi means it destroys or they destroy. Vartayandi, sustains. Now we have to understand that when doshas are vikrita, the body perishes, is getting destroyed. They have the potential to destroy the body, kill the body, damage the body. Vikrita. Avikritaha vartayandi. When they are avikrita, when they are normal, vartayandi, they sustains, they maintains the body. So we are coming to again a very beautiful idea. The same set of three doshas can make sure that the body is maintained properly can make sure that the body is damaged. So how the same set of principles can do two entirely opposite functions? That is all based on the status, avastha. When that set of doshas are vikrita, definitely they will cause damage, which will end up in the total loss, death. When the same set of doshas are avikrita, normal, then they make sure that the body is surviving. So now many things are getting revealed. So what is the duty of an intelligent person? We started with ayukamayamanena. If there is somebody who is longing to have long, healthy lifespan, ayukamayamanaha. So now we are setting a goal for him. You have to make sure that the body is sustaining. Then you have to make sure that your doshas are avikrita. And if you are not taking care, your doshas will go to the vikrita avastha stage and your body will be damaged. You will die or you will get diseases. You will start perishing. So again, this one line gives you the entire idea of how an intelligent person should focus on health, where it should be ultimately targeted. These two lines. Vayu pittam kabhaschedi trayodoshaha samasataha vikrita avikritaha deham ghnandi te vartayanti cha. Now we have to understand what all these things, whether it is just a name or is it a matter, is it a dravya or something else? All these things we have to discuss. Now we have seen that the principles what we call as dosha can do some karma because they are supposed to do all this karma. Pravartana lakshana doshaha. So if it has to do a karma, it should have those properties which will enable it to do that karma. Properties means guna. So if dosha has a karma, it should have its guna also. If it has guna and karma, obviously it should be a dravya. So we are considering in our technical literature, in our technical sense, doshas as dravyas. Doshas are dravyas. That too as made of panchabhutas. We will come to it later as panchabhutas. That is how it is becoming a component of the body. Body as a whole is made out of panchabhutas. So if the body is made out of panchabhutas, all its components also should be made out of panchabhutas. If we make a house with bricks and those bricks are made out of mud, there is no question that each brick will have mud in it. Because it is a part of that brick. It is a part of that house, that wall. Similarly, if dosha is a component of sharira and sharira is made out of panchabhutas, no doubt doshas are also made out of panchabhutas. This is how we propose? This is very essential. We have to understand that it in such a way. Then only we will start understanding what is going to be explained in the next chapters and in the entire Shastra. Right. Now, we are going to position them. Slowly, we are going to the next details of all the. There are many questions. Oh, this is a dravya. So where can you expect them in the body? Where will you find to localize these doshas in the body? How can they be perceived? Many questions. So slowly we are switching over to that aspects. First, we find the next sloka, a part of the sloka. Te vyapinopi hrinnabhyo radho madhyo urdhva samshrayah. Te vyapinopi hrinnabhyo radho madhyo urdhva samshrayah. Te vyapinaha api. Te vyapinaha api hrinnabhyoho adho madhya urdhva samshrayaha. Adho madhya urdhva samshrayaha. Now we will find the meanings of those words and how to arrange them properly. Vyapinaha api te hrinnabhyoho adho madhya urdhva samshrayaha. Vyapinaha api te doshaha hrinnabhyoho adho madhya urdhva samshrayaha. Vyapinaha. Vyapinaha, spread, diffused, spread everywhere. Vyapinaha, te vyapinaha. These doshas are spread all over the body, within. Api, still. So they are spread, they are everywhere in the body, still. Hrinnabhyoho adho madhya urdhva samshrayaha. Hrinnabhyoho. Here two landmarks are presented. One is Hrid. Hrid stands for Hridyam, the area of Hridyam. It is related to the mid-chest portion or the chest portion. And Nabhi. Nabhi is our area around the umbilicus. So we are making two landmarks, Hridayam and Nabhi. And with that two lines, we make the body into three pieces. Hrinnabhyoho adhaha, hrinnabhyoho madhyaha, hrinnabhyoho urdhva. Adhaha means beneath. Madhyam means in between. Urdhva means above. So with these two lines, Athaha, that means below the lower line. Madhyaha, between the two lines. Urdhvam, above the top line. This is how the three doshas are localized respectively. Respectively means in the same order what we saw in the beginning. Vayu, Pittam, Kaphaha. So Vayu is localized below the lower line of Nabhi. Pittam is localized between the levels of Nabhi and Hridyam, the two lines, and Kabham, Kabhaha, that is localized above the upper line of that Hridaya. But still, Vyapinaha, they are spread all over. Three doshas spread all over. Still, you can consider these three areas in the body as their home stations or home grounds. Te vyapinaha abhi hrannabhyoho adho madhya urdhva samshrayaha. Slowly, these three characters are introduced. Then, next sloka, or the second part of the sloka, Vayoho ratri bhuktanam tenda madhyadigaha kramad. Vayoho ratri bhuktanam tenda madhyadigaha kramad. When we split, Vayoho ratri bhuktanam is a one word. Te andamadhyadigaha kramad. Vayoho ratri bhuktanam te andamadhyadigaha kramad. In that Vayoho ratri bhuktanam, we will find again small components. Number one is Vayaha. Number two is Aha. Number three is Ratri. Number four is Bhuktam. So in relation to Vayas, Ahas, Ratri and Bhuktam, Vayaha means the lifespan. Vayaha. Aha, Ahas means daytime, from sunrise to sunset. Ratri means night, from sunset to next day's sunrise. Bhuktam, Bhuktam means food, from the point of eating till the entire process of digestion is complete. That is, here the word Bhuktam means. So here we find four aspects. Number one, Vayas, the total lifespan of a standard human being, not of individual. Ahas means the length of a day, a standard day. Ratri, the length of a Ratri, night, a standard night. And Bhuktam, the total length of the act or process of digestion of a standard meal. So everything is set as standard. A standard human being, standard day, standard night, and a standard digestive process. In that four considerations, te means those three doshas. Kramad means respectively. Anda madhya adigaha. Anda madhya adigaha. Andam, towards the last part. Madhyam, towards the middle part. Adi, towards the beginning part. So the total length is divided into three. So we have 3/3, the first third, middle third, and the last third. In that 3/3, Andam is for the first dosha, kramad respectively. So that goes to Vayu. Madhyam, the middle third, that goes to the second dosha, Pittam. And Adi, the beginning third, that goes to Kabha, the third dosha. So that way, in the length of a standard Vayas, from birth to death of a standard human being, say for example, it is fixed, say in India, if we consider that, okay, it is 75 years. As an example, the first third means the first 25 years, it is for Kabha. Second, the middle third, that means from 25, 26 to 50, that is for Pitta. And the last, that means 51 to 75, that is for Vayu. Similarly, in the case of a day, standard day, 12 hours, the first 4 hours, it is for Kabha, middle third for Pitta, and the last third for Vayu. In a standard night, first third is for Kabha, middle third for Pitta, last third is for Vayu. In the process of digestion, first third is for Kabha, middle third is for Pitta, last third is for Vayu. So this also should be, we have to understand, what does it mean? That means when Kabha is predominating, say for example, we say that in the Vayas, first third is for Kabha, very good. There is dominance of Kabha. That means in that first 25 years, activities related to Kabha will be dominating over the remaining. In a day, in the first third, activities related to Kabha will be dominating in our body. In the first third of the night, activities related to Kabha will be dominating in our body. In the process of digestion, the first third, activities of Kabha will be dominating. So the rest of the doshas also should be understood like that. Vayoho ratri bhuktanam tenda madhyadigaha kramad. So we are going through the very basics of dosha theory, how it is conceived, what is tried to communicate with it, how we should understand it, and how the application part is slowly evolving. So we learned 4 lines today. Vayu pittam kabhaschedi trayo dosha samasataha vikrita avikritaha deham khnanti te vartayanti cha te vyabinobi hrannabhyo radho madhyo urdhva samshrayaha vayoho ratri bhuktanam tenda madhyadigaha kramad. In the first line, we introduced 3 doshas. So the technical term dosha and 3 names, Vayu, Pittam, Kabha, why it is Samasataha, why it is Cha, what are the shades of meaning of the word dosha, how each words Vayu, Pittam and Kabha are evolved, and now how each word or each name of the dosha accommodates a set of functions in the body. Meantime, how and why we consider doshas as dravya, and how the same set of three doshas are getting or becoming responsible for functionally opposite aspects of living as well as death. And now how these three doshas are localized, positioned in the body, and what is the importance of that positioning, and how they are going to influence or participate in a standard human life. Up to that, those aspects we have seen today in a very preliminary, very basic way. Slowly we will spread this idea to other aspects of Gandhite Vartayandicha. With that, I think we can conclude today's session. Otherwise, I think it will be overburdening. Again, while I am explaining this, I visualize the first BAM students. So those who are in the higher classes or in the profession, they may get quite overwhelming to hear these things again and again for the last many years. But still, I think the first year students should be benefited. That is what there in my mind. Thank you very much. And if we have a couple of questions, we will see it. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there are some questions. This question is by Dr. Swati. Why the Acharya used the term dosha, which means something that disturbs? Instead, they could have used terms like trikhatak or something else.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. They had the liberty to choose whichever term they wanted to. But you see, the word dosha can accommodate both the senses. It is pravartana lakshana doshaha. They are having the identity that it makes the body work. Meantime, dushana sabhava doshaha. The word dosha also accommodates the meaning that it can get morbid and it can make morbid. So the uniqueness of the word dosha is that it reflects both the normalcy as well as the that unhealthy part or the bad part of the story. So that is the uniqueness of the word dosha. I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir. So can we move on to the next question? This question is by Harshita. The Vartayanti, that is sustains, also moves through the six bhavas from asti to vinashyanti. So this sustenance is not static.
Yeah, sustenance is not static. Actually, that six bhavas, what we explained earlier, is taking the total, as I explained earlier, coming to existence, then born, growth. Then there is a phase of that changes, transformation, where it seems that everything is stable, it is sustaining. That is true. But slowly it will start declining and perish. That is how that six bhavas are explained. Here also it is relevant. Even though the doshas can sustain the system when they are in normalcy, avikrita, that doesn't mean that you are going to be a chiranjeevi. But theoretically, ideally, such a possibility is there. But that is depending upon many other factors, and that is not forever. At one point, the system will start decaying by its own within itself, and you will start perishing. But you can delay it. That is why we have got a branch called Rasayanam. As long as you can make sure that your Rasayan is, your Rasavaha Srotas is perfect and your Agni is perfect, you can continue to sustain to the longest possible period. Okay.
Yes, thank you, sir. The next question is again by Dr. Harshita. Sir, in every aspect, the first third is predominant in kapha. She's talking about the order of mentioning the dosha, the sequence of dosha. So the preference is always given to Vat. And is there any specific cause for that?
The importance of Vata.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that I think we will come to it later. Obviously, by the time we complete this discussion on doshas, we will come to it. There are many reasons for that. So I think if I'm not, as we have not discussed many of the portions which are yet to be covered, if I give you an answer, I think many of this the participants need not understand it at all. So I request to wait till this description of doshas are over. Then by that time it will be clear why dosha, why Vayu is so predominant or so important. Okay, we will discuss it definitely.
So if you have time, we can discuss the last two questions. Or
what is that?
So if you have time, then we can discuss the other two questions, or we can.
We can. If something is relevant to with our present class and which will make this present session worth, I think definitely we will discuss. What is that, Shloka? What is that question?
Sir, as we see, I request everyone to please mute your mic. As, sorry, sir. As we see the primary classification of every padartha in Loka and Shari, they are based on Mahabhut. But doshas are also are also the units which are based on Panch Mahabhut. So we can understand like dosha is a secondary classification and the primary classification is Panch Mahabhut. So there is always a question, why did the acharyas did not introduce the Mahabhut first, and they why did they prefer doshas over Mahabhut? So this is the question, sir.
Yeah. So okay. So why did acharyas skip Pancha Mahabhutas and introduced doshas? That is the question, isn't it? Actually, as we were discussing in one of our previous sessions, the concept of Pancha Mahabhutas is not limited to the territory of Ayurveda. It is spread in many darshanas, and it is more about how the entire structure of all the Murta Dravyas, all the universe is made up of. So obviously, body is also coming under as a part of this Murta Dravya, collection of Murta Dravyas around the universe. So there is no question of explaining it again in terms of that Pancha Mahabhutas. It is taken for granted. But meantime, what we are trying to explain with the Tridoshas is the functional complexity of a living body. And that living body is explained as a combination of 5 Mahabhutas and Atma. So when that principle of Atma comes, the body is becoming active. Otherwise, it is a dead piece of mass where only Panchabhutas are envisaged. So when we discuss about a living body, we have to discuss about the functions as well. Otherwise, we need not discuss about the functions. We have to discuss only about the structure. So even when we are using the Tridoshas, we are not neglecting the Panchabhutas. We are taking it for granted that the structural aspect is well and fully connected with the Panchabhuta Siddhanta, but it cannot explain the functional aspects. And this Tridosha theory is actually an improvisation of this Panchamahabhuta theory to a living body. So there is no inferiority, superiority issues between Panchamahabhuta Siddhanta and Tridosha Siddhanta. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, another question is, if we say dosha is an operational definition, it is a functional unit. So can this andhya be can we use this andhya for dhatu also and mala also in any particular pathological state?
Yeah, you can. That you mean that the satya of dosha.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Satya of dosha is very difficult to apply to the dhatu and the mala, because without the influence of doshas, they are not free enough, they are not independent enough to get afflicted theoretically. There are exceptions like agandu vikaras, which is a different frame of explanation, which we will come to later when we start discussing about the roga prakaranam. Basically, it is not so. Neither dhatu nor mala has got that independent possibility of accepting the dushti, bypassing the doshas. So they does not accommodate the full meaning of the satya dosha. Meantime, dosha will be in some, everybody knows, in some situations will be known as dushya. Sometimes they will be called as mala. So that can happen. But on the other side, it is not the way of, or the not the method adopted in the literature. The reason is they do not reflect both these meanings of the satya dosha. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, another question is by Dr. Rupa. Doshas are the functional entity and take ashray in dhatus. But while doing panchakarma, we remove the excess doshas and not the dhatus. So how these functional entities can be removed, which is not a physical entity?
Can you read the question once again?
Yes, sir. Doshas are the functional entities and take ashray in dhatus. But while doing panchakarma, we remove the excess dosha and not the dhatus. So how these functional entities can be removed, which is not a physical entity?
No, I told that these are dravya, because they have got guna and karma. We are considering it as dravya only, and they are the manifestations of Panchamahabhutas, a part of manifestation of Panchamahabhutas in a living body. So that question is yeah, it is answered. It is answered. But at the same time, as a functional entity, what dosha is trying to explain, or what the concept, the very idea of dosha is all about, that is what I was trying to explain in the beginning with all those examples. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, the last question is by Dr. Gangadharan. While learning, first we should have to learn Ayurveda, or should we learn Ayurveda along with contemporary science, allopathy?
See, why, suppose you are going to plant a sapling with the dream that one day it will become a big tree. So the first thing that you have to do is to find a proper place and make sure that this sapling is getting rooted in that soil. So when that sapling is properly rooted in that soil, it can grow to the sky. Some of its branches can grow to the south, some of them to the north, some to the west, some to the top towards the sun. It doesn't matter. But always it should have a firm footing of its roots in the soil. Then only it can be that tree growing and surviving till the full length of its ayu. So if your plan is to becoming an Ayurveda Vaidya, Ayurvedic professional, first you have to make sure that your roots are properly growing into the Ayurvedic principles. Once that rooting is pakka, perfect, then your branches can grow to allopathy, homeopathy, Unani, naturopathy, or whichever, any direction you can permit your branches to grow. But basically, when you are into the business of Ayurvedic learning, your roots should be properly growing down into the basic principles of Ayurveda first. No doubt at all. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So, sir, this was a session, an introduction to Tridosha, the control rooms of human body. So, thank you so much, sir, for this session, and we are very grateful to have you with us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank
Namaste,
you.
sir.
Namaste.